We're going to show you how to properly fill out a buyer representation agreement in this video. So the buyer representation agreement will have some additional forms attached to it, including your agency relationship. This is the first form that we give every client, regardless of who we're working with. So you would check the buyer boxes and then put in your buyer's names, your brokerage firm, your brokerage license number, your name, and your license number here. Then you come down to the actual representation agreement, and here you're going to put the date prepared. So it doesn't matter when a client signs this or when you sign it. This is simply the date that you're preparing this document. And then by filling every time you fill in the buyer's names somewhere, it will auto-populate everywhere else in the form. But your buyer's names go here, your brokerage goes here, and then you put your representation period. So your beginning date and your end date, noticing that this cannot exceed 3 months. Then we recommend that you make all of your buyer representation agreements exclusive. There may be on occasion where somebody doesn't do this, but it is recommended that we make it exclusive. And of course, you have to explain to your buyer that this means that they will be working with you only. It automatically defaults to single family residence. You can check anything else that applies. And then for location, we recommend that you check counties and then you put the county that your buyer is looking in. That way, that covers all the cities in the county and you don't have to put in the individual cities. Some people may live near county lines, and if that's the case, go ahead and put both counties, such as Ventura County and Los Angeles County, or Los Angeles County and Orange County. All right. The next thing that you're going to want to be concerned with is the amount of compensation. Now, we cannot tell you what to put here. However, I would recommend all of your brokerages have a minimum amount that must go here. And I believe that minimum amount is 2%. If that's the minimum, that's probably not enough. Okay, we are a valuable professional and we need to be paid as such. So keep that in mind when filling out your compensation amount. The next thing you're going to fill in is the continuation period. This is how many calendar days after this agreement expires or ends that you would be paid on a property that you showed to a client while under this agreement. Okay, then we have cancellation here. So it automatically defaults to 30 days for an exclusive agreement, or you can write in a number of days not to exceed 30 days. I recommend leaving it as is. The other thing to keep in mind here is if your buyer does not have sufficient funds to pay you, then you can check this box here. And then, of course, the buyer broker's obligation to represent buyer in a transaction is contingent upon a seller's agreement to pay the amount of compensation. In other words, you would only represent this buyer that checks this box on transactions where the seller agrees to pay your fees, because we can't work for free. Okay, if there are any other terms, you would write them in here. And then the other thing to note is when you have a client sign this and you have made it exclusive, be sure that they initial this box here as well. If you have an entity buyer, such as a corporation or a trust or something like that, you would check this box and then fill out the appropriate information. So, in a nutshell, that is how to fill out the buyer representation agreement.